Greetings from Costa Rica and welcome to this Friday's edition of Costa Rica Open House. Every Friday, live at noon Costa Rica time, we'll be looking at a different listing here in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. And we won't just be discussing that particular house or condo or piece of land. Our goal here on Costa Rica Open House will be to discuss some of the issues related to the pros and cons of owning there, as well as some of the details that I would be asking myself if I were personally looking at purchasing any particular property. Today, we'll be looking at an absolutely fabulous beachfront home that has been built and designed perfectly to take advantage of both the views of a prime surfing spot. Casa Ohana is the subject of today's Costa Rica Open House. It's located in Playa Negra, just south of Playa Tamarindo, here in Guanacaste. And it's a 5-bedroom, 5,500 square foot home. Casa Ohana is special because there are not many homes built perched over these prime surf breaks here in Costa Rica. It looks out directly to Playa Negra itself, where you've got surfers cutting it up all the time. So today, we're not only going to be looking at Casa Ohana as a beachfront home, but we're also going to discuss how the design really integrates the outdoor and indoor areas. We'll be talking about the brilliant use of large spaces to create airflow. And really, we'll be looking around a home that was designed masterfully for the location. Stay tuned. Thanks again for joining me today. It's July 26th, and we are discussing Casa Ohana in Playa Negra, Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Today, we're going to look at not only what makes this an absolutely prime piece of real estate, but we're going to talk about the house itself and the smart things that the owners did to design a space that takes advantage of Guanacaste's coastline. Out of respect for my Spanish-speaking audience, I want to give a quick introduction en español so that everybody understands what I'm talking about today. I will be back in English in just a moment. Muy buenas tardes, espero que estén bien. Soy Matt Rosenstiel. Soy corredor de bienes raíces aquí en Guanacaste y cada viernes estoy hablando sobre una casa que tenemos en venta aquí en esta zona. Si a usted le interesa invertir en Guanacaste y específicamente las zonas que están al sur de Tamarindo, nos podría mandar un email a esta dirección o me puede contactar y con muchísimo gusto le podemos atender en español. Mi dirección sería matt@costaricamat.com. For anyone out there who is interested in investing in Guanacaste, if you've decided that this is the right place for you and it's time to make an investment, do be sure to send me an email to matt@costaricamat.com. Let's first talk about the details of Casa Ohana, the beachfront home we're going to be looking at today. So first of all, it looks like I have a typo, my apologies. We're talking about a piece of property here on the beachfront in Playa Negra, which is just a little bit to the north of me here in Playa Junquial. The home sits on a half-acre lot in the community of Rancho Playa Negra. It has a 5,500 square foot size of total construction. And really, what makes this property special is that there are few locations that you would call this prime in Costa Rica. It's a place that draws surfers from around the world. Casa Ohana is perched right here out on this point, where thanks to its position, if you're sitting out on the terraces, and really also thanks to its superior design, if you're sitting on the balconies, you are looking down Playa Negra and you barely notice that your neighbors are there. which is a pretty spectacular feeling when you're sitting in a property like this. The community itself is not called Playa Negra, it's called Los Pargos, and the beach is Playa Negra. And it still feels very much like one of those rustic Guanacaste beach towns where you're not swarmed by foreigners, tourism, souvenir shops, and more. Instead, you're sort of walking down a couple blocks of a small community that feels very much like that older Guanacaste that people really want to find. Casa Ohana is located in a gated community in Los Pargos or Playa Negra, this area. Let's talk about the house itself, which, as I mentioned, has a total 5,500 square feet construction. One of the things I wanted to do here that would be interesting, rather than starting just at the beach, I want to start right in the home itself. And here we are on the stairwell in Casa Ohana. What I wanted to demonstrate and discuss, first of all, was the importance of airflow in a Costa Rica home design. Here in Casa Ohana, you can see that they created as this main living space. You've got your kitchen and dining room down here. So we'll take a quick look around the room here. This is a really open space that allows air to move through and really creates that breezy, light feeling that you want in a beachfront home. This open design here where you have a two-story home connected by a stairwell through an open space, this amazing floating staircase that comes out of the wall, all of this creates a really great breezy atmosphere. It also creates the opportunity to enjoy those beach views. They designed the home here where you have a two-story sort of centerpiece window looking out towards the beach itself. No matter where you are in Casa Ohana, you can enjoy views of the water. Let's go up. First of all, I'll look at the primary suite to give you an example of just how epic the views are. Now we're on the second story, and you can see that, first of all, they've included a small sort of living room up here on the second story. This area is, excuse me, we're trying to get out to this balcony, and here we go. You've got another sort of common area or office upstairs here, which to begin with creates a lot of opportunity to have more people comfortably in the property. But then because of the position of this terrace up here, you just have absolutely unparalleled views out to the ocean itself. But if you look across the way, really the way that they laid out the house also gave an incredible terrace and great views to your guest suites. And downstairs, they also have the living space integrated into that kitchen, sort of the downstairs areas in a way that makes everything flow together very well. So I'm just going to hit play here and let this show you some angles of the house. They started off with this open living area downstairs that comes onto your pool. One of the incredible things about homes in Costa Rica is that you can really easily integrate this kind of space without having to close it in. So you walk in the front door and you immediately have this patio downstairs where everybody can enjoy their views of the pool and the beach. The home itself, then, you have to come inside in order to enter the living space, kitchen, and dining room. And that's just something that is amazingly common here in Costa Rica, having these outdoor spaces that flow into indoor ones that really create the special experience of being at, sort of a non-traditional home, or at least not something that you would think would be traditional in the US or Canada. So you can see this is the masterful, amazing, living space, kitchen, open area here where you've got big windows to be able to enjoy your view. Upstairs, you have all of your bedrooms. On one side of the house, in this direction, you've got your guest rooms. And on the other side of the stairwell, you have that primary suite where we were looking out from the balcony to begin with. Here, as we go into the guest rooms, one of the things I also wanted to demonstrate is how they took advantage of this site. And despite the fact that you actually have neighbors on both sides of you, so just to our left in this picture, you've got one home, and then on the other side of the property, you have another. No matter which terrace you're looking out from, thanks to that V-shaped design where these terraces look to what would be sort of the southwest, and you're protected, you're private, and you're actually just both looking out to the ocean rather than anybody really being affected by your neighbors. So here's an impressive, sort of view. You've got this perfect ocean view, and you would never know that there are neighbors just on the other side here behind the property on a separate half-acre lot to your left. And again, if there is the primary suite, while we were up there and looking around, you could see that the views also, and down here, we're on the first level, obviously. Even looking to our right, you are unaffected by your neighbors. Here you can see that effect happening where these terraces facing southeast are looking off and do not have any neighbor in their view. And the terraces here looking really what turns out to be southwest also are unaffected by the neighbor thanks to their angle. Now, obviously, if we're talking about beachfront homes in Costa Rica, if we want to talk about the possible drawbacks, well, first of all, your possible drawback is always going to be that with climate change happening with oceanfront property, you never know, and you want to be above sea level a little bit. Something that I love about Casa Ohana and this entire bluff here is that you're actually positioned on really sort of a ridge above the water, and you have a path down to the water. All of this is positioned slightly above sea level that really allows you to feel secure in that, you're up on a bluff and looking out over the water. You are not directly on the beach itself. Here, this video was taken at low tide, and you can see the rocks being exposed. There at Playa Negra, you've got a rare asset in Costa Rica in that you're not just right along the water's edge, but instead up on that bluff. Obviously in Costa Rica, all beaches are 100% public, and you always have public access to them. So if you're positioned right along a beach that is popular with a lot of tourists, you're going to have people that are using it, and you're going to feel that your privacy suffers. In the case of Casa Ohana, one of the really, again, spectacular things about this location is that you wouldn't be dealing with that nearly as much thanks to the layout, the type of beach that you've got in front of you, and really the fact that all of the tourists at this beach tend to stay towards the southern end. Here at Playa Negra, you've got the world-famous surf break out here. To the north end of the beach at Casa Ohana, really, you don't see many people who would be interested in coming up to this area for any particular reason. You're basically at the northern corner of a beach, and you're also positioned where every time at high tide, you'd have waves rolling in here and sort of creating a separation between you and the beach to the north, really sort of creating almost as close to a private beach that you might find right here at the northern end. Now, obviously, there are going to be plenty of people down here at Playa Negra itself. This hotel is a pretty modest venture. It's not like there is some Marriott only a couple hundred yards from Casa Ohana. Hotel Playa Negra, you can see here, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 total villas back here. They do have a number of rental homes that they involve in the hotel as well. But Casa Ohana is on a beach where really you only have the total of about 15 or maybe tops, 20 rental properties that are directly accessing the beach itself. So despite the fact that you're located directly beachfront and on public property, this is a spot that you wouldn't be affected by, just huge tourism and a ton of people coming through there. So if you're looking for an investment property, the potential is there with Casa Ohana. First and foremost, to touch on an earlier point, because yes, this is positioned above one of Costa Rica's top surf breaks. There are renters out there who would pay an absolute premium to get close to Playa Negra, and the success of these beachfront rentals there in Negra demonstrates that people want these properties. Second of all, yes, having this spectacularly gorgeous sort of, Costa Rica home rather than something that looks like it's just out of a, place in the US really is going to bring renters as well. And so if you're also looking at the potential for an investment, Casa Ohana has huge rental potential. Casa Ohana is currently listed for $2.995 million. Again, it's located in Rancho Playa Negra, a gated community here just south of Tamarindo and north of Junquial. If you have any questions, do be sure to reach out to Larry at his address below. Thanks very much for joining me. See you next Friday, and take it easy.